live in the age of fake news. But when we talk about families, I think there are 3 truths that the evidence is now overwhelming. The first of these is that children grow best in family settings. We have tried other ways of children being placed in institutional type care, and indeed in parts of the world today that still happens if children have got severe disabilities. They may live all their lives in an institutional setting. And that isn't just in poorer countries like Eastern Europe or in Africa. That's happening in affluent countries such as Japan. And yet we know that children who grow up in those type of congregated settings do not develop to the same as when they live in family settings. So that is why in many countries throughout the world, children are growing up with their biological family, or if those families aren't able or available to cope with the children, then we try to find substitute families, maybe among their relatives, or by recruiting people to become foster or adoptive parents. The second truism, I would say, is that the family is the most important influence on children's development. Now that may seem odd given the millions of pounds and dollars that we spend on professionals to help promote children's development, be they teachers, therapists, or what have you. But the evidence from longitudinal studies, from various research studies, is that while those professionals bring added value, it's the family and the engagement of the family with the child that has the most influence on children's development. So yes, we need professionals, but even more, we need committed and knowledgeable families. And while that might be good news to know that children grow best in families and that families are an important influence, that all brings with it the corollary that parents need extra support when they have a child with particular and special needs. Much of what we're going to be talking about today is the type of support we have found has benefited families the world over. Perhaps we need to remind ourselves, though, of why families have advantages over other forms of care arrangement. Well, the first and indeed lasting one is that children experience in a family setting love and affection that is unparalleled by what any other person could provide. Yes, we do have dedicated professional workers. We do have workers who really do love and take care of children. But remember, professionals have to share their love and affection with many different children and are often pains to avoid the claim of favoritism that are helping one child over another. Families are freed from that constraint. They can show unreasonable love, because some people will look and say, that child with their particular disability or their behavior is not really a lovable child, but yet parents will say often, well, he's my child or she's my child, and I love them to bits. The other advantage that families bring is the safety and security that comes from someone willing to look after you. Willing to look after you day and night, willing to be sure that other people are not going to harm you, and that you do get the best. You get the best in terms of food and shelter and whatever. The other good thing about families is that they can communicate with their children in ways that professionals can struggle to do so. For example, we had an illustration in a British newspaper on Saturday past, a story of a mother who was suspicious that their child wasn't well, had taken them to the general practitioner. The general practitioner said, no, there's nothing to worry about, sent the child home. Child didn't improve terribly well, so they phoned again and got another appointment, and again they're told. Well, as the day wore on, the parents felt that there wasn't something quite right about the child, so they took them straight to the outpatients department of the hospital, and indeed the child had meningitis. The mother was obviously picking up other signs and symptoms that the professionals couldn't see. And those non-verbal signals, which grow into verbal signals as well, of course, are very critical in helping to bring on children's development. And professionals just aren't adept at picking up those small signs, and the struggles that children are making to communicate may be ignored by professionals, but probably not by families. And the family is the child's introduction to how you form relationships. We humans are social beings. The great advantage that we bring as a species is how well we can relate and work with others. And yet that doesn't happen from birth. Children have to develop those relationships with their mothers, first of all, but then also learning how to get on with fathers. And I know some fathers are difficult enough to get on with. And then, of course, brothers and sisters, how you get on with other children, often learned first in a family setting before you take off to nursery school or preschool. So that the family is the bedrock on which other relationships grow and develop. I don't know from talking and hearing television programs that very often in adulthood, people with problems will often trace back to their childhood and the poor relationships they had with their family as an explanation for their problems in adulthood. So yes, families are a place where we all learn about relationships. And of course, what a family can do is give the child many new experiences, things that a teacher or a therapist can never do, because they're not with children 24/7, nor are they with the child when they're in a supermarket, in a cafe, going on a bus trip, going on a train outing, being beside the seaside. All those sorts of experiences are exceptional in the professional world, but they're very natural within a family context. So therefore, it comes as no surprise that